The village is small, barely more than a dozen houses with old, crumbling brick and thatch roofs. It's surrounded by dense forest, trees leaning in as if watching. A distant hum of wind through the trees creates an eerie atmosphere. James, a city journalist in his 30s, pulls up in a car. He steps out, adjusting his backpack and taking in the surroundings. There's an unsettling stillness in the air. A few villagers glance at him but quickly avert their eyes.
This place is even creepier than the stories.
He checks his phone, no signal. Frustrated, he puts it back in his pocket and starts walking towards an old tavern. The tavern is dimly lit. A few locals sit at scattered tables drinking in silence. Behind the bar is an elderly man, Martin, with a wrinkled face and sharp eyes. He watches James approach cautiously.
Evening. I'm looking for a place to stay, just for the night. We don't get many visitors here, stranger. I figured I'm here to investigate.
James leans in, lowering his voice.
The Hollow. Heard some stories, figured I'd write about it.
At the mention of the Hollow, the room tenses. Every villager stops what they're doing. The tension is palpable.
I'm not superstitious. Besides, people love haunted tales. I've written about cursed forests before. You're better off leaving tonight, lad. That place, it's no story.
Martin leans forward, his eyes dark and serious.
They see things no man should ever see, and they don't come back. This ain't no haunted tale. The Hollow, it takes those who wander too close. They hear whispers.
James stares at him, unsure whether to laugh or take him seriously. He decides to push forward.
All the more reason for me to check it out. Think you can point me in the right direction?
Martin sighs heavily. From the shadows, a woman, Lena, steps forward. She's rough around the edges, dressed in worn clothes, but her eyes are sharp and filled with fear.
You go into that forest, you'll be marked. There's no coming back whole.
Marked? What do you mean?
Once you hear the whispers, they stay with you. Until you belong to the Hollow, too.
She walks away, leaving a tense silence in the room. Martin glares at James.
Last warning, boy. Stay away from there.
Ignoring the warnings, James walks through the village toward the edge of the forest. His flashlight beams through the trees, the shadows twisting unnaturally as he ventures deeper. He checks his map and heads toward a marked area, the Hollow. The wind howls, making the trees groan. Branches scratch at each other like claws. As James moves forward, the forest around him grows darker, denser. His breathing becomes louder, more labored. James to himself, just a bunch of old stories, no big deal. Suddenly a whisper, faint, almost inaudible but distinct. James freezes, his breath catching in his throat. He swings the flashlight around. Nothing. Just trees. James, who's there? No response. Only the faint echo of the whispering wind. He presses on, but now his nerves are on edge. More whispers start. Closer. S4, media, closer whispers in dark forest, eerie whispers approaching. James!
James, turn back.
The whispers seem to come from all around, and the shadows between the trees appear to move, shifting into strange shapes. His heart pounds as he quickens his pace, stumbling over roots. Suddenly his flashlight flickers and dies. The darkness is oppressive, swallowing him whole. Panic sets in. He fumbles for his phone, but it slips from his hands into the underbrush. James, terrified. No, no, no! The whispers grow louder, closer. Figures move in the trees, barely visible, twisted and unnatural. James stumbles back, tripping and falling hard to the ground.
You can't leave, James.
A figure steps forward from the darkness. Its face is a blur, shifting and twisting like smoke, its eyes glowing faintly. It whispers his name over and over. Flashback interior, village, years ago. A young woman, Anna, runs through the village, frantic. She reaches Martin's tavern, breathless. Anna crying, "He's gone, the Hollow took him, please help." Martin shakes his head, his expression grim. Martin, once the Hollow has someone, they're gone, ain't nothing to be done. The Hollow Night. Back in the present, James is scrambling to his feet, running blind through the woods. The whispers now a cacophony in his ears. The twisted figures close in, reaching out with shadowy, claw-like hands. He finally bursts out of the forest and collapses at the village edge, gasping for breath. The whispers fall silent. The village is in sight, but something has changed. The villagers stand at the edge of town, watching him. Their faces are blank, eyes hollow. In the center of the group stands Anna, her face now twisted like the figures from the forest. James, whispering to himself, "No, no, this can't be real." The villagers speak in unison, their voices soft like the wind. Villagers, you belong to the Hollow now. James turns, looking back at the forest. The darkness looms over him, deeper, hungrier. He's trapped. Fade to black. The whispers continue, echoing softly. The end.